Getting inside forwards to score a few more goals, and getting those inverted wingers to create them within a 4-2-3-1. Yes, I received a question from someone. I want to thank you for your question about getting inside forwards to score a couple of goals with a 4-2-3-1. Well, I want to make this video slightly different. Normally, it's all about, hey, look at this tactic, inside forward scores a lot of goals, go download the tactic and use it. I don't really like that kind of approach because it doesn't really help you guys out. I mean, anyone can download the tactic, right? So today's video is going to be slightly different. The focus is picking a side that is actually struggling in real life, a club like Serie A side Cagliari. What we're going to do is head to that club, design a tactic for them, which is a 4-2-3-1 specifically, and then we are going to try and see, we're going to use tools within the game to help us track the performance of the tactic in real time. Yes, all that and more coming right up. My name is Daljit. Welcome to the show. This is the place where I do content on the game Football Manager. I also stream 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where you'll be able to catch me playing all kinds of different challenges. Currently, I'm doing the Countdown Challenge, not doing too well with Aston Villa. And then I also draft. Yes, I do public drafts with you, members of the community, on Tuesdays, Saturdays, sometimes even Fridays over on Twitch. So join me there if you want to have a game of Football Manager with me. You will hardly ever find successful managers chopping and changing tactics for every single game. There's usually no need. You should have a system, you should stick to it, and you should try and understand the various ways you can tweak your system. Managers like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, they at most have 2 or 3 systems. They generally stick firmly to their style of play, and it's easily identifiable whenever you watch any of these sites play. Football Manager is no different. You try to stick to one style of football as far as you can. When you join a club, you try to see whether they can play to your style. Now, I understand the need, every single club has strengths and weaknesses, and you should try and, try and play to those strengths and weaknesses. But in the long run, having that one tactic, that system of play you understand is far more effective. So that's the approach we're going to take. We're assuming here that I'm a manager that prefers a 4-2-3-1, and I like to see my inside forwards from the left flank driving in, trying to score the goals. Why have I chosen the left flank for the inside forward? Well, more players are right-footed than left-footed in the modern game. So it's probably going to be easier to create a 4-2-3-1 with an inside forward powering in from the left side of the pitch, coming inside to try and score those goals. So we've gone to Serie A, we've taken Cagliari. Now, when you first join Cagliari, you're going to have major challenges with the wage budget. You're probably going to have a transfer budget of 6 million, but you quickly find that your wage budget is in serious problems. You sign one player and then you're below. So what you need to do is get rid of 1 or 2 players. You can pick some of the youth players to release, and you'll quickly get your budget under control. This does have major implications for who you can sign. We brought in Lucas Masopoulos, who can be signed for 4 million from Slavia Prague. This is a very good utility player. The idea here is whenever I'm playing one of these struggling systems, struggling sides, I like to have players that are utility players who can play in multiple positions. This is our get out of jail card. And I generally recommend whenever you're playing a 4-2-3-1 to have one of these kind of players in your team. Apart from that, we've gone in, we've given the team boot room training, which is a lot of physical training the first week. Then they got balanced early season, which is to gain tactical familiarity all the way until October. Of course, when there are 2 matches, we'll use the lazy match prep and then just stick this in. Of course, you can just change this as well to make it easier for yourself. We'll just do attacking movement, defensive shape before each game. That makes things a lot easier to manage. Then by the time they get tactically familiar, I should estimate this should happen before November actually. Then we'll start complete training, and we'll just stick to complete training all the way until the end of the season. Once again, here I would recommend attacking movement and defensive shape. So this is the training schedule that I set up for the team. Then we'll head over to rest. I'm going to turn this to double intensity, then switch back to squad. I've got a squad view called BTN training. I'll make sure that every single player has got a specific role that they're training in. It's really simple. Just set them to the role they're playing in the tactic. Now I'm going to explain this 4-2-3-1. The idea here is really simple. This is a 4-2-3-1 that has an overload happening down the right side of the pitch. What we're doing here is we've got a box-to-box midfielder, we've got a wing-back on support, but this wing-back has been told to pass it shorter, take fewer risks, dribble less, shoot less often, and we also told him to mark a specific position. So whenever the opposition wingers come down the flanks, we want him to track that winger, and we've told him to mark the opposition left-sided winger. If the opposition plays a 4-4-2, he will mark the winger of the 4-4-2. This is something that you'll have to pay attention to whenever we play the game. On the right flank, at the back, we've also got two central defenders. We also got a wing back who's doing the same thing on the left flank. In the midfield, this is where things start getting interesting. I'm playing a mid block. If you look at this, we've got a higher defensive line. Sometimes I'm probably going to play it on standard. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw teams into a mid block. We're going to hit them in the mid block. But the moment the ball is won, we want to get our play out as quickly as possible. So we've done some creative passing here with more direct passes, dribble less and shoot less often with this player. Then on the right hand side of the flank, we've got an inverted winger. We told him to do more direct passes, take fewer risks, and also cross from a deeper position. We don't want him going down the byline. We want him to cross from this position because I want to play a mid block. I want to try and cross the ball earlier for this inside forward, and we want him to drive into the box and try and score goals. Along with him, there'll be another DLF on attack who is going to be holding up the ball and moving into the channel. Something else that the AP is going to be doing. The attacking playmaker is played on support duty. He will drift and he'll operate in these spaces, occasionally going in between defenders and fullbacks, or the spaces in between these players. This is a simple 4-2-3-1. It's not one of those like 145 goals a season kind of tactic. It's just meant to illustrate some guiding principles that you can use whenever you want to create your own tactics. The goal here was to create an overload using the focus play instruction on the right hand side of the pitch so that it draws more players to that side, releasing the space for the inside forward to come in from a wider position, unmarked, scoring those goals. Well, our first game of the season was never going to be easy. We were playing Inter Milan at home. And if I'm just looking at the stats, because this is just what I'm going to be focusing on, using the tools in the game to help us understand our system a bit more effectively. Kissing Gaston Pereira, he doesn't take set pieces. He's had 2 key passes. He's managed to score the equalizer. His XG was 0.4. If you want to take a deeper dive into it, what we'll be looking for are shots, how many shots he had in the match. But here, Joao Pedro, he had a few goal scoring chances, but his finishing has been quite poor today. So basically, Joao Pedro had 3 shots, right? And only 66% of them were on target. So essentially, he had decent chances, but he didn't convert them today. Sometimes there can be plenty of reasons why a player underperforms. In our case, Joao Pedro is the target of many clubs. If I holiday mode 20 over games, there's no guarantee that Pereira will play on the right flank or Joao Pedro will be playing on as an inside forward, or the AI manager could decide to play them in different positions altogether. So the only way to find out is for me to play at least a few games to see whether a pattern emerges. Second match against Napoli, we're looking for the same kind of numbers. We're looking for Gaston Pereira to be making some chances and for Joao Pedro getting a decent XG. Our second game turns out to be quite a surprise. I was expecting us to struggle against Napoli, but somehow or another we push into a 2-goal lead fairly quickly in the first half. Our second game turns out to be a 2-0 win over Napoli away from home. In terms of key passes, I didn't see too many being made by our inverted winger on the right flank. He although finished the match as the match winner, he had 1 key pass that led to a goal scoring chance. The main player happened to be the inside forward on the left flank. He had an XG of about 0.4 in the game, which wasn't too bad. But I guess this was probably down to the quality of the defense on the right side of the pitch for Napoli. Cagliari play Bologna next at home. By our third game, I'm already beginning to see some of the movement that I'm demanding from this tactic. Our DLF on attack goes wide, holds up the ball. Our inverted winger comes inside, and you can see here our inside forward in this position. He cuts it back to the inverted winger who finds the inside forward. Inside forward gives us our goal, and we're beginning to see something like what I have planned for this tactic. Once again, the ball's played out to the inside forward. If there's no other option, they will be able to use the wing back on the left flank to get the inverted winger into goal scoring positions. So I'm pretty happy with how this tactic played out. The more important thing was seeing that the inverted winger was creating chances with his key passes, and our inside forward was also getting into fantastic goal scoring positions. This video wasn't just about making a tactic, it was about using the tools that are also in the game while you're playing the game to understand whether your tactic is coming together. Now, it's one thing to be looking at highlights and looking at your transitions working out. If you already understand that, then what else do you use in the game? It's one of the reasons why I love having mods that allow me to see key passes and XG in the game, especially when it comes to the goal scorers. Because if your goal scorer has low XG, then it just means that either the defenders on that side of the pitch are very good, or your tactic needs a bit of work. It's one of the two. If your tactic is good, it will create those kind of chances. You might be up against a really good team, so don't chalk your inside forward off and say that he's, the tactic needs some work. You could be up against the team that has got very good defenders and your inside forward just can't find space, because you got to remember he's attacking the central area, so you need to do something about pulling those central defenders out of position. Common strategies include using a role that roams in the final third, or a role that runs wide with the ball, somebody that holds up the ball, or a striker that pins defenders. Roles like the pressing forward, the advanced forward, these are attacking roles that keep defenders occupied. But the moment they keep a defender occupied, the space becomes a bit congested. So you need somebody who's actually going to be moving doing that. So there are not many roles in the final third that do that. They are the DLF, the pressing forward, the advanced forward, and the complete forward. So these are the 4 good roles that you could use to create some vertical and horizontal movement in the final third. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it useful. It's just a simple look at how I would get an inside forward to score more goals, and how I would analyze my systems while playing the game to understand whether the system is actually working or not. If you have any questions, please look me up. You can always find me on Twitter at Bustthenet, or you can pop by one of my streams and ask me questions. I might stop my stream just to illustrate an example that might help you out. You guys stay safe, look after each other. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.